little strengthened after their rest and better able to deal with the sickness that had come over them, Christian and hopeful continued to walk on their way. They got nearer and nearer to the celestial city. There were orchards and vineyards and gardens, and the gates from them opened onto the highway. As they came to these places, they saw a gardener, and pilgrims said, "Whose are these vineyards and gardens?" The gardener said, "These are the king's, and they've been planted here for his delight and for the comfort of pilgrims." The gardener took them into the vineyards and encouraged them to refresh themselves with all the sweets and all the lovely things that were in there. He showed them the king's walks. He showed them the places, the little lay-bys and rest places where, to the delight, they could rest and sleep. I beheld in their dream that they walked and talked more in their sleep than ever in their journey. And they began to muse about what the gardener had said to them, about the nature of the grapes and the vineyards that were so sweet to their lips. And they were asleep and they spoke. I saw they woke and addressed themselves to go up to the city. They saw its reflection like the sun. It was glorious, and they could not, with open faces, look at it. It was almost as if it was made not to be looked at. They went on and they saw two men in beautiful golden clothes, and their faces shone like light. The men asked the pilgrims where they came from and where they were going, and they told them all their story about where they had been and how they had journeyed. Christian and his companion asked the men, "Will you come with us?" And they told them they would. But they must obtain the city by their own faith. And so they all went together until they came in sight of the city. I saw a little further between them and the great city was a river, but there was no bridge, and the river was very deep. At the sight of the river, the pilgrims were very stunned. But the men that were with them said, "You must go through the river. You cannot find a different way to the gate." Christian and hopeful said, "Is there no other way?" "Well, yes, there is another way, but only two have ever travelled that way, a man called Enoch and a man called Elijah. But you and all that have followed must go through the river." Christian began to get very despondent in his mind, and he looked this way and that way as if he might escape the river. But then they asked the men if the waters were all of a depth. They said they could not help them. They have to find it for themselves. Some places are deeper and some places are shallower. So Christian and hopeful got to the edge of the river, and they took their first step into the river. Well, we're out on a little pilgrimage. John Bunyan is bringing Christian and faithful's pilgrimage to an end. They're within sight of the celestial city. They cannot really see it, such as its brightness. They're enjoying great comfort and rest. They spend more time, it seems, sleeping than awake. But between them and the city lies a great river. They have companions, people who will walk with them and encourage them. But finally they're going to have to step out and cross the river alone. This, of course, in John Bunyan's language, is a picture of death, something that all must face. To be in sight of the city but not there yet, to be more asleep at times than awake, and to be filled, for these believers, with thoughts of all that is to follow, to be comforted by those around them, but really looking forward to be in that celestial city. Sometimes we're too tied to this world and we forget that there's a better place. We're too tied to the things of this world and the joys of this world, but they are, as Bunyan makes very clear, and as we all really know, they are just passing. There is a river, its name is death, but beyond it are the glories of heaven. And as we live in this world, we have to remind ourselves of that, because all around us we're confronted by the reality of the brevity of this life and of death. Yet we must encourage each other to look beyond, and we must encourage others to prepare for the city of God and all that is to come. Encourage others to put their faith in Jesus Christ, as John Bunyan did, as he had Christian do, as Faithful did, to go to that great cross of Christ, to be found in him, to be cleansed, and to be given the keys to heaven. Well, today, may we think a little bit more about the glories of heaven as we live in this world. Though it's very nice at times, especially in spring, it's nothing compared to what will come. From me and my little pilgrim friend, out on our little journey, as you travel your journey, God bless you.